Hi everyone, welcome back to Planet Dirt. My name is Alicia and today we are in the greenhouse because it's freezing outside. So really this is where we're going to be until spring when we're seed starting and moving things and doing outside projects. This is where we're going to be. Today I'm going to get the rest of my peppers out of this greenhouse because the frost came and killed them. I showed a short clip of this right after it happened, but I haven't really been out here enough to do any filming, so let's take a look at the damage. Alright, so these ones are, just for reference, they are farthest away from those panels over there, so they're the closest to the house. They look really sad, but the fruit on them is still pretty decent, but the closer you get to these panels, these are just completely falling apart now, and they're all sorts of dead. So we're going to get in here and clean out all of this, and we're going to make room for some root vegetables and some other things that I have started. I did start some fall seeds, but they've been neglected a little bit. So we're gonna plant what we can, but then I grabbed a bunch of seeds for some carrots and other root veggies that can handle a frost. And I'm gonna try to get some of those in the ground today as well. We are at the point where it starts getting dark. In my state where I live, it starts getting dark at like 3:30 in the afternoon, which means that basically the weekend is the only time that is available to do any gardening, which means that things are going to get neglected and they need to be able to handle a little bit of neglect. I have also reached the point where I've turned off all of my outdoor watering, so there's no automatic irrigation happening here. Everything's hand watering. So again, it has to be able to handle a little bit of neglect because it's only going to get watered, I don't know, once or twice a week, maybe. So easy, can handle neglect, and can handle a frost. Those are the things that we're looking for when we're going to get these things in the ground. So I'm going to flip you around and show you the seeds that I started, over a month ago now. So this is what we have that has survived. So I had to reseed a bunch of this because right after I seeded it, a critter came down and mowed everything down. The critters like to come and just chop off the tops of these little tiny baby plants, and then they just don't stand a chance. So I have some kale, some parsley, some chard, and I have a bunch of cabbage, kohlrabi, some radishes, some beets. The bok choy didn't come back, and neither, oh, there's a couple of spinach. Yeah, the rhubarb didn't come back, but that's okay. I have more seed. There's a little bit of spinach, a little bit of lettuce. Those things didn't come back after they got mowed down. So the stuff that is in here, though, it is starting to yellow just a little bit. So it's time to get it in some actual soil and throw some nice fertilizer on there and do what we can. There are a few peppers that are salvageable. So the fruits themselves can handle a little bit more, a little bit colder temperature than the foliage can. So some of these I am going to go grab a box so that we can harvest what we can. And then anything that's even slightly mushy or anything like that, I will just compost. And then before we get into it, guys, look at how beautiful my cabbages look. So these are the two cabbages that I seeded when I should have seeded everything. And they look beautiful. And I might actually get something out of these. And then I got a chard hanging out in the back there. That guy has provided me with quite a few leaves so far. And it's just going along like a champ. But as you can see, I do need to get in here and weed a little bit. So that those don't start choking out the vegetables. Alrighty, so here is the after the cleanup shot. So I took out all those peppers, the dead basil that was in there, and then I tried to work around. There's a couple of carrots in here that survived all of the munching and the drought and everything that I put it through. So that's great. So I tried to leave those there. And then we have a big empty space right here that I still need to weed a little bit, but I'll probably won't get to planting this today anyway. And then over here, I think these are turnips. I want to say these are turnips, and then that's parsley root back there. And then there were a couple of beets in here, but I think that they either got munched on or died. I'm not sure what happened to them, but this is what happens when you leave your garden unattended. One day it's just gone and you don't really know why. So all of the stuff that I had seeded is pretty dry. So it's really good that I came out here today, because if I would have waited a couple more days, these probably would have all been dead. So these are all cabbage. I'm going to make this the cabbage bed and see how much I can fit in here. There's honestly, those are 2 6 cells, but I think as far as plants goes, there's maybe 8 or so in both of those. So that probably should fit in this bed. And then I have some beets and some spinach and some kale that I think I'm going to put the beets in here, because there's already some carrots going right there. So I'll put those in with them. And then the kale, this is my little anti-critter cage right there. The kale, I think I'm going to put over here. So ideally, this is going to be my little perennial spot. I also have a couple of parsley, which perennializes in the greenhouse in my zone. So as long as I keep it over here, I should be able to keep it going for a while. And so what I'm going to try to do is put the perennial stuff along the back here, so that it's easier to access the things that I'm getting in and out in the front here. And then I had the sweet potatoes over there last year. Honestly, I think I'm going to try to do some sweet potatoes outside. I like the sweet potatoes. They just have the vines go absolutely crazy. It's too hard to keep up with. And so I'm going to reclaim this space, and I think I'm going to put the parsley over there. And then I'll have a line of different kale plants right here. So that is the plan. We'll see how far we get. I'm going to get to planting, but before I just wanted to share all of the peppers I was able to save. So these are Sugar Rush Peach. If anyone watches Little Mountain Ranch, she ate one of these, and I think everyone who she didn't know what they were, and I think everyone who was watching like collectively gasped and was like, "No, don't do it!" And she did it anyway, and she really, really hated her life after. So these are about the same spicy level as a habanero, but they do make really good hot sauce and salsa. My husband loves spicy stuff, so I'll save those for him. There's some jalapenos in here that I was able to save, and then lots and lots of Hungarian wax. These ones have really thick walls, and so those ones actually held up against the cold pretty well. It's not like they were growing a lot or producing a lot, because it's so cold and peppers just don't do that, but it did last through it. I honestly thought that most of the peppers that were in those plants were going to have some frost damage, and I wasn't going to be able to salvage them, but I got a pretty good little chunk out of them. And then this bad boy, this is the lone, what was trying to be a bell pepper that was able to be salvaged. So that is the peppers, and I'm actually really excited. I'll probably freeze these, so I'll get a couple more bags of frozen peppers out of it. Alrighty, everyone. I feel accomplished. We got a lot done today. Actually, more than I thought I was going to get done. I had like a plan to try to get everything planted out, but I didn't think it was going to happen. So let me show you the beds. Alright, this was the very first bed that had all the peppers in it. So I put some cabbage all up in here, and I tried to space it out every other since the bed isn't very deep. I kind of staggered the planting in that. And then there is also a random broccoli in there because only one broccoli survived out of me planting it. But check this out. This onion is here from the spring. I must have missed it when I was pulling onions, and it's still there. So I'm just going to let it go because I don't have anything to do with it right now anyway. So, over here, I had those couple of carrots that had survived, but were getting pretty badly shaded out, so they weren't doing much. There's some beets that I planted in between all of that. The beets were insanely dry in that tray, so we'll see if those ones even survive. And then I have a row of spinach here. I have a row of leeks here, and then 2 rows of kohlrabi. Oh, wait, no. That one's daikon radish, and this one's kohlrabi. So, and there's one little kohlrabi down at the very end. That's why I thought this whole thing was kohlrabi. So, I have quite a few brassica type things because we don't really have a long enough spring or fall to grow them in the shoulder seasons because we don't really have shoulder seasons here. And so I'm playing around with the timing to see if I can get those to work because honestly, I've never had kohlrabi and I really just want to try it is my only thing. And then right next to it, I have I think those are turnips. There's a tag somewhere in there. I don't know. I might have to go back and look at the video where I planted those. Alrighty. And then down here at this last bed, I have a whole bunch of kale, 2 rows of kale, and then a whole bunch of different kinds of chard. I have yellow chard. I think there's only 1 red chard in there. I think the rest died. And then there's a bunch of orange, white chard, and then some flat leaf parsley back there. So that's right next to my celery. I need to come and chop that down because the new stuff that's coming is looking really healthy, but the old stuff is dying back. So I need to come in and do a big harvest of that so that it will keep growing. But yeah, that was pretty much all of the things that I had seeded out that had survived. So yeah, I'm super excited about that. I'm happy that we got so much done today. I was not expecting to actually get everything out planted. I do still have some seeds because there are a couple of spots that are blank, and then this whole bed right in here that this mesh cloth is on top of, that's where I was dumping a lot of the compost, and I just don't want the critters to get in here and go feasting on all the peppers that are there. They have enough to worry about. So I still have 1 open bed, and I might just do a bunch of carrots in that one. I don't know. I have a bunch of different root vegetables. I think I'll see how the rest of all of this settles in if those beets end up alive, if they end up coming back. Then maybe I'll just make that a carrot bed. I don't know. But yeah, we got a lot accomplished today. Yay us. Thanks so much for coming along with me today, and I hope I see you next time. Bye.